I'm 18 and I just received the most desired gift, a trip to Rome from my grandparents. But the happiness didn't last long. My parents, as always, decided that my older sister, Jones, their golden child, deserved it more. She's 21 and an aspiring architect, so Rome is more essential for her. My arguments about applying for literature and that Jones had already refused a similar gift in the past were ignored. After several days of arguments, manipulations, and guilt tripping, I gave in. I gave up the ticket, not because I wanted to, but because I was tired of fighting. Their words about the trip shouldn't go to waste if I went hurt me to the core. It seemed they thought I was worthless. But fate, it seems, had other plans. On the day of the flight, Jones took a taxi to the airport, but on the way, she got into an accident. She decided to help the driver by grabbing the steering wheel because, in her opinion, he was going the wrong way. The result, the car crashed into a tree, the driver was seriously injured, and Jones got away with scratches. The taxi driver sued, and my parents had to spend their savings to settle. Upon hearing this, I couldn't hold myself back and blurted out, "This is karma for forcing me to give up my trip to Rome." My parents were shocked, called me selfish, and left for the hospital to see Jones. But it was at that moment that I realized enough is enough. I had always been second best to them. They never appreciated me. I packed a bag, called a taxi, and followed them. At the hospital, while Jones was trying to convince the police of her innocence, I approached her, snatched my boarding pass from her bag, and rushed back to the taxi, leaving everyone bewildered. I made my flight to Rome literally at the last minute. On the plane, I turned off my phone. Only after landing did I find out how furious my family was with me. My parents think I'm heartless, Jones thinks I stole her opportunity, but she stole my opportunity first. I just took back what was mine. They all think I should apologize, but I'm not sure I want to. A message from Jones where she wrote that my parents were spending their savings and I could have helped them by giving them my birthday check only strengthened my belief that they were all selfish. I checked the information. Tickets were non-transferable. My parents just hoped Jones would somehow get through. This confirmed my suspicions that their plan was doomed from the start. I had always lived with the thought that if I tried harder, I would earn their love. That was foolish. My grandparents living far away didn't know how I was being treated. I never thought about leaving, but now that I'm an adult, I'm ready for a change. Jones and I were never close. There's no hate, but we don't get along either. Our family finances were always tight. Mom's a nurse, dad's a coach. They depend on my grandparents' money, and now they'll have to admit their manipulations to get help. Jones always sat in the front seat of the car. She's a control freak, and that led to the accident. She even arrived at the airport 5 hours before the flight. Update 1. I decided to enjoy Rome. I don't need to worry about my parents or sister. It's not my fault they got what they deserved. It was foolish to expect them to appreciate my sacrifice. I had the best time of my life in Rome. I talked to my grandparents and told them the whole truth. They were shocked that I had kept silent for so long. I explained that I had hoped to earn my parents' love, but now I understood that would never happen. My grandparents said I did the right thing and told me to come to their place, not home, after returning from Rome. They would pay for my college even though my parents refused, saying they had already paid for Joan's education. One conversation changed my life. I'm coming back in a week, and I know I'll have a better future now. Update 2. I'm back and living with my grandparents. They'd already prepared a room for me and moved my belongings. They told me they'd met with my parents. My parents wanted my grandparents to help them with the taxi driver's compensation. But my grandparents first brought up my situation. My parents admitted they'd always treated me unfairly, but claimed I was to blame for abandoning the family in their time of need. They called me spoiled, self-absorbed, and jealous of Jones. This was the last straw. My grandparents disowned their only son, my father. My parents left, slamming the door, declaring they no longer needed me. I burst into tears, but my grandparents were there for me. Now I live with them. This is my home. They will cover my college expenses. I haven't spoken to my parents or Jones. Their messages were full of hatred. Jones called me selfish and worthless. My parents wrote that I was heartless, that they had raised me poorly. They accused me of having a comfortable life, but didn't understand that a comfortable life and a good childhood are different things. They called me empty, saying they were glad to be rid of me. It hurt, but I didn't cry. I blocked them. Now I'm starting my healing journey. Update 3. Something incredible happened today. 2 weeks after my return, my parents suddenly showed up at my grandparents' house. They walked past me as if I didn't exist and went into the living room. My grandparents told me to sit with them. My parents declared that before a final break in their relationship, they had unsettled accounts. They demanded $120,000 compensation for my upbringing. My grandparents excused themselves to discuss. When they returned, my grandfather calmly agreed to pay, but on one condition. My parents had to return all the money they had ever borrowed from my grandparents. I left the room to avoid laughing. My parents tried to object, but eventually just screamed and left. I don't think they'll be back anytime soon. My grandparents proved they know how to handle them. In a couple of months, I'm off to college, and honestly, I can't wait. Going to Rome was probably the best decision of my life.